Ever wondered how television commentators prepare for the World Cup where referees are concerned? Let's find out. A man who knows, Guy Mowbray. Guy, we're all looking forward to the World Cup. Some more than others. Those who are going there more than others.
Absolutely.
But those who are going there have got a lot more work to do than others. So I guess you're knee deep in it at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I started my preparations probably around Christmas time, in between the usual week-to-week Premier League and Football League stuff. Just started to compile a list of players from the nations that will be represented, and just started to have a look at results and histories and things. And now I'm at the stage of all the squads are there, ready just to fill in the gaps with the names once the squads are announced, and then put a few biographical details. And it's great, actually. It's a little bit of a break from the norm, and it's so exciting. Every 4 years, every 2 years, if you include the European Championships, it is the most exciting thing that we do.
So you're researching the national teams. Are you researching the referees?
Yeah, in the past, a name and what he did for a living and his hometown would have done. Now, there are whole websites dedicated to referees from right around the world, the major leagues in Europe predominantly, but you can see a list of games they've refereed, you can put a search in and find out any controversial incidents they've been involved in, and you genuinely have an overview of just what sort of a character they are. And I certainly know that the international squads and the coaches include that as part of their preparation for games. Same with domestic clubs in Champions League games. They'll have a look at that and think, oh, it's him today. Oh, he does this, he does this. You've got to tread carefully today, lads.
Psychological profiling on referees.
It's incredible. No stone is left unturned, and that goes for commentators and teams, obviously.
There are just so many different nationalities. Referees coming from South America, from Africa, all across the world. Uniformity must be really difficult, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And you do find, from certain parts of the world, there is a stereotype. There is a way of refereeing that's a little bit different, say, from Europe. The South American referees might view things a little bit differently. I think it still comes down to the individual more than anything else. We're all different. You know, you could get a referee from Italy who's relaxed and, you know, completely in control of himself and lets it go. You can get another referee from the same country who's officious and gets right in the players' faces. So we have to be careful not to stereotype, but certainly as you go from continent to continent, you find a little bit of a change in styles.
Is it possible to differentiate simply English referees and officials, or British ones, from, let's say, just foreign ones generally?
I certainly believe that Howard Webb and Mark Clattenburg and Martin Atkinson, our top-ranked officials, have a tremendous reputation, particularly in the European game. I think they like the way that they referee it. And I just wonder if that's to do with the pace of our game. I think the different styles, perhaps with English referees and Scottish referees and the European standard referees, it's just purely the pace of the game and the intensity of it. I think they do let a little bit more go, just naturally through their week-to-week job.
And that's the way we like it.
It's the way we like it. It's certainly the way I like to watch a game. I just think sometimes that doesn't help our national teams. You know, when they go into games and perhaps sometimes they go into a regular tackle, and you know, we say it as commentators as well, we'd say, well, that's a really good tackle, but in other parts of the world they might not view it like that, and I just think, you know, we have started to get a few yellows and reds that are needless in major competitions, and I can't see that changing.
Yeah, it's so specific, almost a laboratory exercise, really.
It's almost gone away from sport, hasn't it? It is a science, yeah, and referees are under such intense pressure, particularly when you get to the World Cup and you've got the FIFA observers and the FIFA delegates and the FIFA technical committee who aren't just looking at players and coaching, you know, they're analysing refereeing standards as well. And let's not forget the worldwide audience. Yeah. I do not know how Howard, just because he'll be there, how he keeps a clear head, knowing. I mean, I know he won't think about it once the game starts. It is just a game, one team against another, and he referees it as he would any other. But sometimes, if the crowd gets up, if he thinks I might have made a bit of a rick there, which must happen several times a game, must do, how you keep a clear head and get in control of yourself again, I find that one of the most admirable things that referees at the top level do. And I wonder if that puts people off actually going into it, because you think, I couldn't handle the pressure of that.
No, I'm sure I couldn't, but there is a similarity there in that you might feel that after 10 minutes you've got something wrong in your live commentary.
Oh.
and you've got another 80 minutes to do, knowing in the back of your mind or suspecting that you've got something wrong.
Yeah, well, I've put myself in that position, and I hate it. The next 10 minutes or so are a real struggle. You just there's no flowery bits. You just do it straight, and your heart's going 10 to the dozen. Now, I think you can times that by 1,000,000. What it's like for the referee. I'm not impacting the game. He could be, big time, with something that will go right around the world in seconds, and everybody will know the name. And they should be better rewarded, actually, for what they do, referees at the highest level.
Yeah, it takes a certain temperament, a certain psychology to do that job.
Absolutely.
And they look so calm, don't they?
Most of the time. You do get some who do like to take centre stage. I think you can tell a referee, I think you know the nature by the way they brandish a card. And if they're charging over it, sprinting with it held aloft, well, you know this is it's not my cup of tea. Ones that have a dialogue and almost apologetically issue them, or be stern when it matters. They're the ones who handle games better for me.
You raise a recurring point in the interviews that we've done for this site. Particularly, you won't be surprised to learn from those inside the game that the dialogue, the rapport, the banter is now lacking.
Part of that, certainly in the Premier League, is because of the number of foreign players in there. There are language issues. There aren't the same sort of regular meetings that there would have been in the past. And I think it's getting... I'm not so sure it's that bad, you know. I'm not so sure it's that bad. And I think referees sometimes get unfairly criticised for being too matey with the players. But I think maintaining a dialogue, and even players have got to take a bit of responsibility here as well. We had a situation earlier this season where I think it involved Adam Lallana at Southampton. We never got to the bottom of it properly, and I don't want to unfairly criticise Adam Lallana, but if it was him, and if it came from him, I don't know if it came from a Southampton member of staff, in fact, that he didn't take kindly to a referee having a bit of a pop at him during the game. Well, I'm sure he would have been all right with it, and I think more of that, please. If he's moaning on at the ref turns round. You hear legendary stories about players moaning at the ref, and the ref just turns around and says, "You want to have a look at yourself? You're not having too good a game either."
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I want more of that.
So do I.
I want more of that. Let's bring that back into the game.
Yes, indeed. It just shows you perhaps how disconnected players are, the modern player, from the era that you and I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And we go back to the international thing. That again is a bit of a problem area in that they don't know that referee quite as well. I would like to see, it was mooted a few years ago and never really got off the ground. I would like to see top officials from all around the leagues coming to referee games in different continents and different countries. I think it would help players, coaches, supporters, and most importantly the referees themselves have a better understanding of it all.
But it's quite logical.
I think that can only help.
It's a logical step.
I know there are problems with making it happen, but I think that can only help everybody.
So, which of the referees around the world that you have an admiration for? Is there a nationality of referees where you think, Germany, for instance?
German refs generally good. Scandinavian refs generally very good. Generally relaxed. Again, it is saying generally. They are huge generalisations because I do believe it comes down to the individual's character. I don't mind Italian referees, actually. I do think there is something in, and it will be mentioned again during this World Cup without a doubt, there is something in the fact that if your country is an established football nation and you are refereeing Champions League games and top-level games in a top league, you are going to be better equipped to handle top international matches. It does concern me when I see a referee, and I don't want to do the country down, but for sake of argument, from Costa Rica, handling a game between Germany and Spain at a World Cup. I see no logical reason for that to happen. He cannot possibly have refereed a game of that high intensity and high pressure. I understand why FIFA do it, and I understand it helps the development of the game and officialdom in those countries. But I think there's a different places to develop those skills than at the World Cup finals. We shouldn't necessarily have to have a referee from every continent at the World Cup. We just want 20 or however many they are, the best officials from all around the world, and I couldn't care less where they came from. And if the gentleman from Costa Rica wants to come and referee games in the Premier League and Serie A and he's up to it, brilliant, fantastic. But I don't think you can possibly referee a game at the top level in that country, and I'm picking on that. I have no idea if that's the right country to pick on, but you can't possibly referee a game at the top level in the league in that country and then think that's the same as a game that's been watched around the world. Well, the pressure and intensity is just different.
One thing that will definitely be for the better this time, if Frank Lampard whacks one in off the crossbar from 25 yards, just over the line, it's going to count.
Yeah, well, and that had to happen. It is happening. I've mentioned technology before, and I think it should be used wherever possible, but not used absolutely 100%. It's still in the gift of the man running the game in the middle. But that was a no-brainer. That was absolutely essential, and I think, much as it hurt us at the time, it wouldn't have made any difference to the result. So Lampard's ghost goal actually did the world a favour in the end. I saw a game the other week where the ball bounced on the line, and the players still, even though the referee in the Premier League has the goal decision system, he's got his watch, he's calibrated it before the game, it will vibrate, it will bleep if it's a goal. Clearly didn't, and he did have a little check, he went like that. And the players still turned around and started shouting at him and moaning because it was a natural reaction. They thought it was in.
Yeah.
Well, and he just kept tapping his watch, going, no, no.
Well, one thing about the technology is, and we're here at Bootham Crescent, York City, is that, of course, it won't be here foreseeably or at this level.
In the Premier League.
I was talking to Lee Bullen of Sheffield Wednesday about an FA Cup tie against Charlton, which Sheffield Wednesday lost this season when there was a dispute over whether Wednesday had scored or not. The ball was right on the line or maybe marginally over. And the referee, Lee pointed out to me, instinctively went to a watch, thinking...
That's a very good point.
Thinking that the verdict would be there, and of course then realising, oh, we haven't got that.
That is a very good point, and that also happened in the Capital One Cup this season in the quarter-finals, when all the grounds were equipped for technology and were using it, apart from Leicester v Man City, because Leicester weren't they are now, but they weren't at the time a Premier League team, and so if anything had happened in that game, we wouldn't have had the technology, and okay, there was a press release beforehand to tell everybody that. Well, that's a very good point you've raised. Well, the referee kind of got used to depending on that.
Yes, it's a reflex by the referee.
A reflex action, absolutely. Yeah. So maybe it hasn't. Yeah, I'd never thought of it from that angle, but that is a good point. I was actually against it for a long time because I firmly believe actually in what FIFA keep telling us, that the game is the same right from park level to the top level. And long may that continue. And for those reasons, I thought, why is a game at York City different to a game at the Etihad Stadium? Why should it be? And as a York City fan, I got quite indignant about that. But Lampard's goal changed my mind completely. And it was something Mark Lawrenson said next to me, actually, at half-time we were discussing it. And he just said, there are sports, in my view, it will upset people, but in my view, lesser sports, if you like, or certainly from a global point of view, rugby league being a prime example, that are laughing at us. They're laughing at us because this is the prime tournament. This is being watched by billions, and we can't even get it right as to whether it's gone over the line or not. And I thought, actually, you've just summed it up. Yeah, this needs to happen. It's funny, we started off talking about the World Cup. We've ended up coming back to York City. Everything comes back to York City. It does for you. Many thanks, Guy.